Hello. Today I decided to feature a Moskva game once again. This is on my NA account. Now, the Moskva is a bit unique in the way that it's got probably one of the worst concealments of all cruisers. So actually making any sort of sneaky plays with it it isn't really that easy. But it's still doable if you time it correctly. As I will attempt to show in this one, that also one of the reasons why I run the concealment build is the ability to pull off these kinds of surprising moves at times. Now, first of all, you might notice that I'm sailing a very aggressive line here. I'm trying to get to the island between B and C as fast as possible to deny the enemy C and to harass them at B, and in general get into a very strong position for a Moskva. Now, of course, if you take this sort of aggressive line, you're gonna be shot at a lot. So in general, I don't really recommend for your average player to attempt this, because this is very risky. You might see the Bismarck is shooting at me, the Tirpitz is shooting at me, I have to angle left and right. I'm constantly changing course left, right and center, the Ibuki, the Des Moines, even the Montana, the Missouri, they're all shooting at me. Because of course cruiser going this way is a very tempting target. I punish the Ibuki heavily though, because he gets too eager. He gets too eager at firing at me and doesn't pay attention to the fact that yes, I can in fact fire back at him. Now the hope would be here, of course, that during all this distraction I cause and all this help I give my DDs, because I'm able to push them with radar and so forth, they would be able to kill off one of their DDs, or perhaps able to harass them or push in themselves while I'm tanking. But sadly, my team is kind of just sitting back and watching it happen. I see the Yugumo's torps. Now, most of the time Yugumo uses F3 torp, so I take a bit of a calculated risk here. He launched them from so far away that it's unlikely that they would reach me. In fact, I count on them running out here, because F3 torps are only 8 km range. Once again, very risky call, but when you make plays like these, well, you have to take a bit of risks. So I lost a good chunk of HP, I say 15k HP. I did do some good damage in return on their Ibuki and on their DD, but I would have hoped that my team would have gotten a bit more out of it, but they were not really that interested in pushing that aggressively, sadly. Regardless, I got into the position which I wanted, which is this island right between B and C. From here I can help deal with any sort of aggression coming down towards C, and of course if need be I can radar B and help them out at B as well. So I like this position quite a bit. So this is where I will finally chill with my non-stop aggression. I'm giving a lot of broadside right now, but that's because I just spotted pretty much their entire fleet, so I know it's very unlikely I'll be shot at from the right, and I will be reversing back behind the island. The Missouri just repaired fire, so I know any fires on him will be... well, any fires on him will be permanent. When I say permanent fires, I mean fires that cannot be repaired using the consumable. I don't mean that they will last forever, but of course they will last until they run their natural course. Or natural course, even. Now, Montana is pushing into B, and he appears to be smoked up as well. So that's a very real threat I have to keep in mind. There are some battleships up at A, but I'm not too worried at because I'm angled away from them. Far more important though, there's a Zhao and a Des Moines that are pushing down to reinforce C. Now these I can deal quite easily with, provided they give me a lot of broadside, and this Des Moines seems to be giving me broadside. The Zhao, one of the great strengths of the Moskva is of course the incredibly punishing AP, but you can really destroy cruisers. Des Moines turns away, so I don't get as much damage on him as I would like. Next volley. Where are they landing? Wow, okay, I was expecting at least a citadel there, because he wasn't changing his course anymore. He's still not changing his course though, which is very risky on a Des Moines. And finally I'm able to punish him. 4 citadels, that's the Des Moines deleted. And that's of course one of the strengths, and one of the reasons why you don't give a Moskva any sort of broadside, because, well, the AP is incredibly punishing at any range, really. You can citadel cruisers, you can even citadel battleships at 20 km. you don't want to be giving this guy broadside at all. And of course, if they want to sail down to sea, they have to give broadside when they make their way down there, and that's where I'm looking to ambush them from behind this island. You notice I disappear from vision in between volleys, and that's because of my concealment build, of course. Whenever I retreat behind this island, I'm undetected. Of course, a ZA with what I'd like to call the ZA retard armor. That ship is insanely tanky for some reason, and well, he somehow managed to bounce my shell that I shot right at his broadside. ZA is a bit of a special case, though. It's the cruiser armor on the ZA doesn't really make much sense, because at times that ship feels tankier than a battleship. Unless, of course, I'm sailing it myself, then it feels like everyone and their sister can citadel me. He manages to ground. I'd really rather be using... He's giving me so much broadside, I'd rather be using HE. I shoot for superstructure to get some sort of damage, but it's unlikely. These torps cannot have been the ZAO torps. This is what ZAO torps are 8 km. This is why it's good to keep track of what kind of ranges torps have. The fact that those torps went that far past me means that the Benson has probably gone down here. And seeing as he's smoking him up, when I pop radar now, I should be seeing... Yeah, there he is. There's the Benson. I also spot the Montana and the Yugumo in B. So that's of course the dual purpose of being in this position. When I pop radar in this position, I spot any sort of enemy aggression that they attempt to make. So that smoked up Montana that was trying to hide inside B, well, he's now very much visible to my entire team, and he's being absolutely hammered, and the Yugumo has to flee while the Montana died. So that's kind of one of the other purposes of getting into this position, and one of the reasons I really like it. Whenever you radar or whenever you really do anything, it kind of has a dual purpose. You threaten multiple angles, and it's a very central position, which makes it so strong. Any position where you're right between two important capture points is going to be strong, and on this map this particular spot is of course one of the key locations. Des Moines, I'm seeing him. Des Moines must be radaring the Benson. That's the only reason I'm seeing the Benson. He's not seeing me. They have 600 points, we have 380. The ships are even. And this looks like my chance. This looks like a good opportunity. You see, this is what I mentioned a while ago in my Chapav commentary. These are the kind of situations you have to recognize. This is a good time to make a play. The reason why this is a good time to make a play is because I'm undetected. The Benson is hiding in his smoke or behind it. The Missouri is outside of spotting range. I'll be able to get the flank on the North Carolina in B, and the enemy battleships and such up in A are out of position. So I'm writing in Teams A, making a play for B now. So I'm letting not just my division mate know, but also the team know that this is the time, this is when I'm going to make a play for this B capture point. We're down 200 points, the ships are even, well, Ibuki just died, so we have one ship advantage, but this is the time to make this play. Of course, getting a broadside on the North Carolina, and the Yugumo gets caught completely off guard. I citadel North Carolina, as I said, great AP, but the Yugumo is in the biggest trouble here because, well, his smoke just ran out as I came around the corner, and regardless if it hadn't run out, I of course timed my push so that I will have the radar ready. And the Shimakaze is also caught off guard. This sudden turn, this sudden surprise Moskva is completely messing with them, and they weren't expecting it at all. I angle slightly towards where Yugumo was. I'm not really that bothered about angling towards North Carolina. It's more that I'm angling slightly towards the corpse of the Yugumo in case he launched torps, so I don't get completely blindsided. Shimakaze slowing down, smoking up, hoping I haven't used radar to kill the Yugumo, or hoping I have used it to kill the Yugumo. I hadn't, of course. I saved it until I really needed it, and this was that situation. So the Shimakaze gets killed as well. Now I angle slightly where the Shimakaze was in case he's torping, and of course I switch back to AP. Any Yugumo torps would have passed me by now, so I know I'm safe from that. And of course he's still giving me broadside in this case, and when you give a Moskva broadside, I'm gonna be citadeling you. It doesn't matter if it's a battleship. North Carolina, as I've mentioned in my North Carolina commentaries, is quite vulnerable when it gives broadside, and this North Carolina of course shows it by being citadeled by every single volley I fire, and that gives me my Kraken. And surprisingly, actually, the Kurfürst decided to push in at that same time. So he might have been reading my chat, or he might have just noticed the fact that I was pushing in and my division mate was joining me, and we kind of pincered and crushed everything they had in B. And that was kind of the moment, a moment you had to recognize that if I had made that move while I was spotted, it would have been significantly less impactful because, well, of course, the Yugoman and Shimakaze would have seen me coming, and any sort of surprise factor would have been completely lost, and they wouldn't have been caught out and so forth. They would have been pre-torping me and so forth. So you kind of have to, first of all, concealment is very important when you go for any sort of surprise plays. That should be self-explanatory, but you often see people try to like make ambushes and such, but they're doing it while they're spotted for some reason, and that will never work out. There's just no chance. The enemy has to be extremely oblivious to make any sort of plays like that work out. Oh, looks like that Missouri got citadeled. The south side seems to be under wraps. The Kurfürst and Des Moines are already heading down there. There's North Carolina heading down there. So I decide I'm gonna go up for the last capture point we don't have. There's a Benson there. Now, important factor is I'm not spotted yet, which means the Benson hasn't actually crossed from behind that island into A. If he had crossed there, he would have spotted me because of my firing debuff, and now because of my spotting range actually extending that far north. I'm detected now, so it means he's now crossing across that tip, or most likely crossing across there, unless he is closer to me than expected. I'm letting my division mate know that I'm spotted. I'm gonna be popping my radar. Pop my radar, 11.7 km range. I'm not actually seeing him yet, so I'm just about to start typing no radar contacts when he gets within my radar range. So I of course abort typing and start shooting instead. I get one good hit on him, but then he turns. I somehow misadjust. I'm actually a bit surprised, but these shells don't hit. He suddenly speeds up, which was something I didn't expect. I think it was him turning away that increased the distance between me and him and made the shells miss. It's the most likely explanation. He hasn't spotted Desert Fox though, and the one thing you don't want to be is a DD and about to be ambushed by a Khabarovsk in close quarters, where you are unable to spot him coming in and you're unable to maneuver in time to avoid him. So at this point, this Benson is he has to turn north and escape the cap to have any chance of survival. If he gets spotted by Desert Fox, as he just did now, well, he's really screwed now. I mean, I'm slowing down in case he tries to flee south. I can just kill him if he tries to flee this way, which he's attempting to do. But honestly, Khabarovsk at this range is just going to melt him in seconds. So, a very short ending to that game. Anyway, the game ended. I got a nice chunk of credits, XP. Of course, the Kraken is always satisfying to get. The damage wasn't really that special, but then again, when you consider what I was shooting at this game, I was shooting mostly cruisers. I killed Des Moines, Zao, and DDs in general. So, not really an expected source of high damage. Looking at base XP, 2.5k, not that special, but still, considering the game, it was a pretty good reward. Looking at the stats wise, you can see just how spread out mostly on DDs this damage is. Of course, there's Des Moines, there's a bit of North Carolina, there's Zao, Shimakaze, Yuguma, Ibuki. A fair amount of tanking, but ultimately most of my tanking I did was at the start of the game. I took almost all my damage in this game getting into position. Once I got into a position that I recognize as a superior, as a extremely strong position, I almost took no damage after that. Like, I took a very small percentage after that. The vast majority of the hits I took was just getting into that island position. Ever since then, it was basically just carnage. And I feel like this was a pretty important commentary in that sense, that it shows you not just the importance of a good position, but also what kind of plays that you can make if you have a good active position, I would say, a position that allows you to suddenly explosively impact the game. And that's why I dislike heavily defensive positions, because your only options from defensive positions is, well, you hide. That's pretty much it. Whereas these kind of active positions also allow you to all of a sudden heavily impact the game and turn it into your favor if so needed. Anyway, that was my Moskva commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.